I forget what they tell me. I just remember, oh my god, I just remember them telling me that we're closed. Like, and I'm just in my head like, what are you talking about? Like, how are we closed? We were perfectly fine. We were open yesterday. There we go. Let me get a little closer to y'all. I got a story to tell. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, the college life. Right now it's kind of more like the adult life because it's summertime and I don't have classes. How's your day today? I hope it's going good. If not, I hope it gets better. So today I have a story time for y'all. You already saw in the thumbnail, I'm going to talk about Red Lobster and what happened from an employee perspective. Y'all already heard all over the news, Red Lobster bankruptcy, Red Lobster closing, and no notice, this and that. I'm basically just going to go into details and from my perspective and how it kind of went down. I don't know too much. I didn't do a crazy amount of research, but yeah. So a long time ago, back in October of 2023, I started working at Red Lobster. I started as a server. I even remember my interview with the manager, the general manager of the place. Going in, I remember being so scared because this was like my first official real job out in the adult world. And I was like terrified. I was like, what the fuck am I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, this is weird, this is new. Like, I hope I can assimilate. I've had other jobs before. I've worked at my family's restaurant. I've worked on campus as a content creator, if you guys have seen me on the RIT YouTube channel. But this was like a first real, like a more real job out in the world with completely new people in a totally new place, nobody I knew. So yeah, I started as a server there during the school year. I think I worked like 4 days, maybe 5 days out of the week while doing full time. And it was good, you know, I was making good money. Doing a server was really good. Over time, I started getting better. I got better as a server. I remember that first week. That first week was horrible. I cried so much. If I ask my coworkers right now how that first week was, if they remember, I cried because I can be like a very shy and like I was too nice at the time, and I was like, I wasn't people strong in the aspect of like standing your ground and stuff. But yeah, it was like a learning curve, and you know, I became a better server. I got better. I learned how to handle like situations and people better. Coming back in January, this is like I think mid-January, early January or whatever, I come back to my first Red Lobster. You know, I start bartending. I start like learning things. I want to do more stuff. At this point, I was already like set with serving. Of course, there's always stuff you can learn, but I had like that job down. And so by this point, I like really started having down server, bartending, expoing, server assistant / host, and things like that, you know? Like, I started getting really used to and into the flow at this job. And I started getting along with my coworkers. Like, we would play around, like I would tell them like my life story and things like that, and like things that were going on, you know, like things you just like tell your coworkers. It was fun. Like, I had a lot of good times there. I really liked that place because it was like a big family, and like people would yell at it like in the back in the kitchen. Like, if you walked in there, you'd think like everyone's mad and like things are so chaotic, but like that was just the way that we were. Like, you could walk in, they're yelling at each other, they're like hardcore making fun of each other and like this and that, but it was all like playful and with like a lot of love. And like, I guess the word would be a lot of cariño. Todo era de cariño, o sea, no era nada malo, nada mala intención, and things like that. Things were getting good, you know, started getting in the flow. Then come the end of May or start May, end of April, things like that. I'm going into work pretty often. I started getting a lot more hours now that I'm free, you know, bartending and serving and like a good mix here and there. And like, I'm like, okay, this is going good. I'm going good with my coworkers. I got my house situation established. I'm staying in Rochester for the summer. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dang, I'm set. Everything is perfect right now. Life is perfect. And then all of a sudden, that Monday, when was that Monday? Okay, Mother's Day weekend. So Mother's Day weekend, we already know it's gonna be busy. It's gonna be crazy. Everyone is scheduled to work. That Saturday was crazy. That Sunday was even crazier. I think I was a server that day as well. And so I remember that day going pretty well. Like that day was going good. I had tables on tables. Everyone else had tables on tables. The flow was really good. Like that weekend was so good. And mind you, I'm like bragging about this weekend because we had a lot of times where things would just go crazy. I remember Valentine's Day, they called me in for like 3 hours because things are like insane. So back to this Mother's Day, like it was good. It went really well. I cashed out that night. I made really good tips. And then the next day, I remember I was so tired. And so like I kept sleeping in, I kept snoozing. And this is where the sad part comes in, right? I remember waking up late. I see my alarm and like I tend to hit snooze a lot and I'm like, oh fudge, I'm gonna be really late. They're probably gonna get mad. Maybe they're starting to get busy. I think this was around, I was supposed to go in at 12. I forget what I was gonna do that day. I think I was bartender or something. And I remember being late on the car, on the drive there. I remember it was just like one of those thoughts, one of those fleeting thoughts that come in and come out, like you don't even mind it. But I was like, imagine I lose my job today. Like just out of nothing, like nothing triggered that thought. Like I had no reason to think I was gonna lose my job because I was doing really good. I was great with the manager, I was great with the workers, great in my job flow. I was a handy person because, you know, I knew a lot of the positions. I could fill in anywhere. I was like, okay, there's no reason to lose my job today. I might be a little late, they might be a little mad, but they can deal with it, right? Like once I get there, everything will be okay. And then I walk in, I go in through the back. I'm like, first thing I notice is that, oh, it's a little quiet today. It's a little quiet in this kitchen. It's a little too quiet. I wonder what's up. And on the counter there's like a bunch of papers. I remember my manager, one of my coworkers, we're gonna call her A. One of my other coworkers, we're gonna call her T. And one of my other coworkers, we're gonna call her T2. And they just look at me and A turns around, she sees me walking into the door and she's like, oh, Morgan. And then I'm just like, uh-oh, something's wrong. I see my manager standing there. They're standing in a circle around a bunch of papers. And then they break the news to me and they're like, I forget what they tell me. I just remember, oh my God, I just remember them telling me that we're closed. And I'm just like, what? And I remember I feel my heart dropping down and they're just like, yep, we're closed. And they explained to me that this Red Lobster location is just closed. Like, we're freaking closed. Like, and I'm just in my head like, what are you talking about? Like, how are we closed? We were perfectly fine. We were open yesterday. And I just remember my heart sinking because my thoughts just started spiraling. At this point in life, like I finally established a house. I have to pay for school. I have to save. And all these thoughts are just running through my head. I'm like, well, what the heck am I gonna do now? Finding another job was already hard enough. All these thoughts are just spiraling. How am I gonna get another job? How am I gonna pay rent for this house? How am I gonna pay for the utilities? All the stuff I just paid and bought for my room. What am I gonna do? I have to start over in a new place. And it was just crazy. I remember I start crying because all of this happens, but not just the idea of having to start over again and like having to find another job and having to figure out all these things. It was also the idea of I just lost this job, this place, all the people here. Like I said before, everything was starting to be really, really good. Like I started having good bonds. Like things were good. Like I was like climbing up and like being good in this place. And that whole moment was so sad. I started crying and I had to like walk out into the dining room, and I remember texting Mike. And I don't remember if I called him first or Amy first, and then my mom. I called all three of them. And I remember each time I was just like crying on the phone. I was like, I lost my job. I don't know what to do. You guys might call me dramatic, like you just lost your job, you can get another one. But it's not that easy because even now I applied to like a bunch of other jobs, Home Depot, I applied to Target, I applied to a bunch of pharmacies. I got interviews and stuff and they still said no. Like, oh, y'all are hiring, but you ain't hiring. Like, what the heck? But also just like the shock of all of a sudden losing your job. It's like, it can be hard, especially if you make a bond with those people in that place. All of a sudden that's just cut off. All of a sudden it's just gone. It's just gone. Like, they had no notice. And let me tell you this part. This is kind of the most important part, and the part where got everybody mad, is that we got no notice whatsoever. Not even our general manager got a notice about this Red Lobster closing. He told us that he got a call around 8 in the morning and that Red Lobster was closing, and he was with other managers. And one of my other coworkers, we're gonna call her S. S told me that when she walked in that morning, she saw our managers crying, and like they were upset because they also didn't expect it. And everybody's gonna say, oh, well, we saw the news on Red Lobster about the bankruptcy and this and that, and all the Red Lobsters closing and things going down. Like, sure, you hear that news, but nobody said that this specific location was closing, like this one. Like, okay, you see things are going down, but wouldn't you give a notice or something like that? Like, no, they drained us for Mother's Day, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, get out. We don't need you anymore. Like, no, like one would expect notice, like, hey, we're going to close down this day so you can prepare. But no. So that was that. And then the rest of the day, I remember just spending there because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to leave. I couldn't leave yet. Another few of my coworkers passed in and out, and we all cried. Like, every single one of them cried. Even one of the cooks who, like, it's like, that was my guy, man. Like, even he cried. And I was like, damn, if he cried, that's how you know shit is bad. And it's funny because we all joke around about, oh, I'm gonna quit this job, I'm gonna leave, I just want to go anywhere else. And then you're laid off. Like I was serious about it, but at the same time I was joking. And then the universe is like, okay, you want to quit? I'm gonna quit. Woo. The rest of the day I just like helped pack things up, and yeah, it was just so sad. I remember leaving and I was like, well, fuck, this is over, this is it. And the next 2 days I was just really sad. I remember that night I was crying a lot. I cried a lot over and over again because it just kept hitting me like, you just lost your job. You have to start over and find another job and get your life back together somehow. And the next morning, I also remember thinking like, oh shit, this is real. I really lost my job. Now for the bankruptcy part. A lot of things that people don't get is that Red Lobster didn't really close. Like, the whole Red Lobster company did not close. This was the most annoying part as well, explaining it to customers later, which I'll get to. Essentially, what this bankruptcy thing was that Red Lobster was announcing is that they filed for bankruptcy so that they could close certain locations to sell all the equipment and such, rework their leases because they were in debt. And so they needed some way to bring in a lot of cash so they can start paying that debt. Now I'm gonna cut back in here for just a few seconds because I completely forgot to mention the endless shrimp, that freaking endless shrimp. I cannot tell you how many times as a server I was so annoyed when people ordered endless shrimp. That is one of the biggest and main reasons for this bankruptcy, because they did the whole endless shrimp promotion for a really long time, and they priced it relatively low, and then they started raising the price on that. But this endless shrimp, people would come in and order like 1 million refills. They would spend hours there getting refill after refill after refill after refill. Mind you, shrimp costs money, and people would stay there and just eat a lot of damn shrimp. Like, I have never seen in my life people eat so much shrimp, like refill after refill. I could not stay at a restaurant for hours. I would get tired. I kid you not, people would be there for forever ordering shrimp, and more shrimp. Now imagine this times hundreds of restaurants, people just eating shrimp. That costs money. And so that was one of the reasons why Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy, because this promotion cost them a lot of money. They would pay for the shrimp, but the price for the ordering that entree wouldn't justify it. And so they lost a lot of money. A lot of money went down the drain because of that endless shrimp. So yeah, there's that. So what they did was close down a bunch of Red Lobster locations so that they could sell all that stuff, and so that they could keep other Red Lobsters open. And whatnot. But the thing about that is that they didn't warn anybody. They didn't give anybody notice. No email, no nothing. Only on the day of is when they told everybody, hey, this location is closed. You have to pack up and leave. During those 2 days, I started applying to other jobs and it didn't really work. Fast forward to that Wednesday night, I remember getting a call and I almost didn't pick up because I was like, okay, this is a strange number, but it's from the area code here. So I'm like, might be somebody I know, might be one of my old coworkers. We'll see. And so I pick it up and it happens to be, we're gonna call this person Jay from another Red Lobster nearby. So Jay calls me and says, hey, do you wanna start working? All the transfer information was like went through this and that. Can you start working tomorrow? We need people. And I'm like, okay, like, oh shit, I have a job. Thank God. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get transferred because there's a lot of us from the original Red Lobster to be able to switch over to the new Red Lobster. Like they already have their workers. They already have their things established. Like I might not get guaranteed this position, but thankfully, bless the Lord, bless the universe, whatever it is you may believe in, I was able to get transferred. So Jay is like, okay, you can come in tomorrow. You can be a host. Going over there, going to this new place. Well, for one, I couldn't count for the unemployment, that's what it's called. I couldn't count for the unemployment because now I'm transferred and now I'm considered to have a new job under the same company. So that flopped. Everyone from all around started coming to this Red Lobster because they were like, oh, I have gift cards, I gotta use it, you guys are gonna close, I gotta go there before they close. And everybody just kept asking, are you guys going to close? Are you guys going to stay open? What happened to the other one? And we're like, we don't know, man. This was the most annoying part ever because every single day, every 5 seconds, you'd get the question, are you going to close? And we're just like, well, we don't know. All of this stuff happened. We get a message from Red Lobster on their Instagram, right? But they haven't made any other comment about this since. We got an email from Red Lobster. We have this app like for our schedule and stuff, and they sent a message through there and they were basically like, thank you to everyone for your hard work. Red Lobster has been part of families for a really long time. We are doing this bankruptcy thing so we can continue to stay open and keep serving your families and being part of your life. And like that's basically all they said. Red Lobster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. They didn't apologize anything. They didn't say anything about the employees, and people were furious. If you look under the comments, you could see how mad people were because a lot of people depended on this job. And this is where I get frustrated as well. Like, for one, I depended on this job. A lot of people have worked there for so long. There was this one lady in the kitchen who has worked there for over 15 years. If anything, it was more than that, but I know for a fact it was over 15 years. There was this other server there who worked there for over 7 years. Now imagine putting that much time of your life into this one job. Like, this is your full-time job. You're working here 5 days a week at least. You're putting your time into here. You're getting to know people. You see people come in and out, and then all of a sudden your job is just gone. All the people you just worked with are gone. Imagine all of those people. There was another person at my new Red Lobster who had worked there for over 25 years. That's crazy. Like, imagine all of that just disappearing like that. Like, I would be mad too. Mind you, I've only worked there for like, I don't know, at the point where everything went down, maybe like 8 months. I'm not doing the math right now. Got people mad. I remember posting about it on my story. And Red Lobster responded to my story. I was like, you guys are so funny. You guys are crazy. I was tight. I was so tight, y'all. Let me see if I could find it. And this is what I posted and I highlighted. And assure you that this plan was carefully crafted for the long term. And what I put was that yet you couldn't tell your employees with time, because I was mad. And they said, oh, I'll put it up here. But they were basically, thanks for your message, Morgan. We made the difficult decision to close certain restaurant locations. It's always our goal to make sure our employees have a smooth transition into their next chapter after we close the restaurant. Please be assured that there is a plan in place to assist our team members who have been affected by the restaurant closures. No, there hasn't. No, there has not. Because there were some goofy people, but they were some good people. And there was like a lot of good memories. That is the story. That is my perspective. And there's probably more to it. I'm not going to do more research into it, but there's probably more to it. But from the employee perspective, this is my perspective of what happened, especially for all of y'all that were asking about it. Yeah, I'm doing okay now. You know, I work at this other Red Lobster. I finally got into the flow of that. I got really lucky to be able to be transferred into that. Not everyone across the United States was lucky because a lot of their Red Lobsters closed. Some of my other coworkers were able to be transferred, so I was really happy when I saw them. And like I was so excited. Like I was so excited when I saw them. One of my other coworkers, we're gonna call him C. He went there. He only went for a few days, but I remember when I saw him, I cried because I was like, oh my God, thank God one of y'all are here. I'm not alone anymore in this brand new place with all these new people. That stayed, and I've made friends with some of the new workers as well. I don't know what you guys think about that. Leave your comments down below. If this happened to you, like, let's have a discussion in the comments, because I know a lot of people have different perspectives on this, and they have a lot of different stories about how they were affected, how they were able to handle things. Like, I hope y'all are doing okay. I hope y'all were able to find another job. Dang, bro, dang. Life will hit you out of nowhere. Let me tell you that life will hit you out of nowhere. And if you are not prepared, if you are not mentally prepared to figure things out, to process things and move forward, you're gonna stay stuck and you're gonna stay down. I got lucky, but I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't able to get transferred. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let's have that discussion in the comments. And keep following along with the channel. Bye guys.